Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does Canada trade more internationally than within its own borders?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, currently there's about 3.3 million people that are employed due to our exports, and it's an important part of our economy. 1 in 6 Canadian jobs are supported by trade, and I think it's important. While we work with reducing internal trade barriers, we also need to ensure that export markets are opened up as well.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
How much of our GDP is international trade worth?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what I can say is thousands of jobs across this country are supported by trade, and it's very vital. We are a trading nation. That's why we have 15 trade agreements with over 50 countries around the world. We have access to 1.5 billion customers that we need to continue shipping good Canadian-made goods out to.
Member.
The answer is 66% according to his government's website. While you accuse us of not reading, I guess you don't read your website either. How much of our GDP is interprovincial trade worth?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's important to know these numbers are all available on the website, but what we want to talk about today is workers and Canadian industries. That's what the people at home are watching. This is a time of crisis. 75% of our trade that goes to the U.S. is at risk here, and that's why it's important that we open up new markets, like the Indo-Pacific region, like the European Union. This is what I'll be focused on.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
It's 36% against, it's according to your government's website. Isn't it this imbalanced evidence that this Liberal government has failed to support Canadian companies doing business with each other?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, what our government is doing is supporting industry, supporting workers. Just today I met with the agriculture industry, and they were very happy that we're opening up talks with partners like those in China as a path forward. We're going to relaunch the JETSI, the Joint Economic Trade Committee, to ensure that we're able to.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, how many interprovincial trade barriers exist in Canada?
The Honourable Minister of Trade, International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to welcome this new member to the House, but I hope he studies which ministers do what, because as you know, I'm the Minister of International Trade. My focus and my mandate is to diversify trade to external markets.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, under the Constitution, it gives the federal government jurisdiction over interprovincial trade, and that is under the purview of this minister. So has the Liberal government ever exercised federal jurisdiction in the last 10 years over interprovincial trade barriers?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's important to note that we do have a Minister of Interprovincial Trade and also the Transport Minister. I'm not allowed to say her name, but I think it's important that us as Cabinet colleagues, MPs, we all work together to ensure that we're able to reduce barriers to grow internal trade throughout our country.
Honourable Member.
Is it currently easier for a company in Ontario to export to the United States than it is to Quebec?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, internal trade barriers do exist, and that's why it's important that we work with our provincial and territorial partners to ensure that we're able to unlock those barriers, to unlock over $100 billion in economic activity in our country. But while we do that, we also want to focus on export markets. Agriculture industry is one industry that's highly supported by exports, and we need to make sure that we're able to diversify trade.
Member.
What costs the average Canadian $5,100 per year? And put it in terms that your Minister of Transport would understand. That's a lot of Disney Plus subscriptions. Isn't it true that this Liberal government hasn't done anything in the last 10 years to address the interprovincial trade barriers that you just admitted that they exist?
Well, member, I've mentioned it many times. He cannot address the member directly. He has to do it through the chair. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this new government has a strong mandate from Canadians to make sure that we're able to diversify trade. But while we do that, of course, we're going to be reducing internal trade barriers with working with provinces and territories. And I think that's important to note for Canadians watching.
Richmond Hill South.
Well, it's ironic that the minister is talking about diversifying trade. Should it be easier for a Canadian to import wine from California than it is to import wine from Ontario?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, coming back to my scope and my mandate is to make sure that I'm out there to diversify trade in international markets. Of course, we have a Minister of Internal Trade as well that we'll be working closely with. But of course, we want to reduce trade barriers, whether it's internationally or within our own country.
Honourable Member. Briefly.
Last question. Okay. Does this Liberal government plan to incentivize the provinces to remove trade barriers?
Well, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, that's a very good question, and the provinces are very ambitious. Our Prime Minister is very ambitious. We've got a strong mandate from Canadians to work with the provinces and territories to reduce internal trade barriers.